Hi everyone, xin chào mọi người. Welcome to the first episode of Feed the Noise. In this Ethos Collective original, we're going to show you the bands and the way they work in a bit of a different way. We were thinking, what is the thing that connects all of us almost the same or the same as music, and figured food. And what is the better way to learn or show one culture than through its cuisine? For both local bands and touring bands, we're gonna go out, sit down, have some of our favorite Vietnamese foods, talk about life, their workflow, creative processes, friendships, influences, life in general, and how all of this transposes into their work. So to stay on top of it, be sure to subscribe, click that bell button, all of the YouTube stuff, and follow our channels, Ethos Collective VN or Ethos Collective on Facebook, to stay on top of everything that is happening on the original Vietnamese music scene. Let's get into it. Our guests today are Blind Girls, an Australian band from Gold Coast, Queensland. They play a mixture of emo, power violence, so imagine botch, converge, and a lot of chaos and a lot of self in their music. Really looking forward to hearing this. So we're gonna get in, meet the guys, and take them out for lunch. So let's get into it. This is your first time in Vietnam, and it's mid your Asian tour. So can you tell us share the first impressions of Asia and Vietnam in general?
I guess, no. Well, it's been pretty fun. Everyone's been really nice. The food is always, I don't think we've copped bad food anywhere yet, which is really good.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Yeah, you guys toured fairly in around, you've been in the US, in EU, of course, Australia. So how does this compare to the other places you've been to?
I guess where the biggest thing is probably flying everywhere, or getting from city to city has been different. We've been catching buses, or flights, rather than, I guess, in the States or in Europe, we're usually in a van the entire time, which has its pluses, but
yeah. I was going to say there's also a big similarity with in Europe. The scenes are really kind of communal, and all the sounds and the bands will work together. And just it feels a lot more tight knit. And I feel in Asia that's been the case as well. The people who put on the show, they'll take us to get food afterwards, and we'll eat with the sound person and the promoter, and just people who play in other bands and stuff. So that's kind of similar to Europe. Whereas I feel in America it's a little more like Australia in a way where when the show's going, so
yeah, everyone just goes their own ways, and yeah, I was pretty psyched to come and go on tour again.
I think this is our first time ever doing two overseas tours
in 1 year. Yeah.
So it does feel pretty crazy to think we've already done Europe this year and in Australia tour as well. But I feel even with that, there's always a decent enough break that it's not
Doesn't feel like a slog.
Yeah.
Going out on tour. Yeah.
It's usually just exciting.
Since you played so many places, you also had a chance to experience both big stages. You played Goldburn Festival, and then you played a bunch of dive bars as well. So do you have a favorite when it comes to these two? And what is the difference for you as a band? Performing in front of a bigger crowd on a bigger stage and a very compressed spots like the one you're going to play tomorrow?
I love playing on the floor. It's just a bit more intimate.
It's almost easier in some...
For the genre.
Yeah. It's easier in a way. like a little bit more controlled in a weird way. It's like we're closer together in the smaller venues. I mean, it's really cool to get the opportunities to play like Roadburn, because you're like, I remember we were like setting up on stage and it's just like, holy shit, this room is like massive, and like that's a great experience. But I think if we were to do that all the time, it would probably feel pretty like disconnected and, I don't know, lose like that nice, like, what's the word? The energy wouldn't transfer like from the crowd back to us, and yeah, that's what you get from those smaller spots, which is always nice.
Your sound is, you really riff off the energy of the audience that you play for.
Definitely, yeah.
It
Like,
can be a strange genre to hear in like a huge venue.
yeah.
I feel like it was never made with that in mind.
Yeah.
It's still cool, but yeah, it's a little weird sometimes how like when there's a barrier and the crowd's like way over there, it's a bit strange. But it's always cool. Go when you first walk out.
Like the first show in KL when we played Istia Fest, like it was literally the hottest show I think I've ever played in my life, but because the crowd was always like so keen, it didn't feel like, we were like, no, let's just keep playing. Like we kind of had the idea of like, all right, we might cut a few songs so we don't die, but like because everyone was loving it so much, it was like, all right, let's just keep going. Like
the crowd was pushing into Luke the whole time, just more and more, which looks quite funny, but it felt very real.
Yeah.
So is there a craziest moments you guys experienced playing any of these shows?
I witnessed a pretty brutal stage dive in Joe Barrow where we'd pretty much finished playing, but someone had already like gotten on the stage, and so we'd like hit the last note and stopped, and he just leapt out onto someone who was like completely unaware that they were coming, and it happened like right to the left of me. I just saw someone just get like killed into a wall, and I was like, and it's just completely silent. It was pretty rough to watch.
How does your quote-unquote regular life looks like outside of touring and playing these shows? Like, is there anything you guys, what do you do?
I teach drums for a living, so I'm just working 5 days a week, just doing that. Try and go swimming when it's warm at home. Live pretty close to the beach. Yeah, I guess it's.
Did you get any of the leads for your classes through the band, or like just being? Because I know you're kind of famous in the subreddits when it comes to your name pops a lot, like as one of the best drummers in the genre.
Oh wow! Yeah.
That's Ben's account doing that.
So it's you posting about this guy Ben from Blind Girls.
He does drum lessons.
Yeah. That's my advertising
You
scheme.
can learn to drum like him.
Yeah. No, I think there's been like maybe a couple like people through, I guess, just generally in hardcore, and it's like they might just have a friend who has a kid or like family, and they're like, oh yeah, we know this guy who teaches. So maybe like a few students, but otherwise it's, I guess some you could say. Yeah.
I work at a university as like a research assistant, so that's like my just like regular day job sort of thing. And then most of the writing studio stuff is just like at home after work into the MacBook kind of thing, and then like getting together like maybe once a week to like physically do stuff together. But
can you take us back to like 2013? I don't know who's the best person to talk about. I know you joined fairly recently, so yeah,
Probably.
he was the only one there.
Yeah.
So how did the Gold Coast and like your local scene look like back at that time?
In 2013.
Yeah, when you guys started, like what made you decide to, okay, we're gonna do this genre? Like, and also back at that time, Australian metalcore was peaking, I would say, like with the Parkway Drive and I Kill and like all the scene building around them. So how did you not go that way and say like, are we gonna do this power, violence, emo mixture?
I guess at the time, the Gold Coast scene was probably like at a point where it didn't even exist. Like you probably couldn't even play a show on the Gold Coast unless it was like a house show, but like the attendance would be even then like really low. So I guess, I don't know, I mean, I was playing in other bands at the time that were like a little bit more heavier. And I think just the original members that we started Blind Girls with, we were kind of all into like power violence, but also like melodic hardcore. And then when we found out that there was like this sort of fusion of the two, like with screamo, we were kind of like, oh damn, like this would be really cool to make. And then just sort of slowly found new bands, just getting into that. And because I think there was no scene, we didn't really care about trying to play like a genre that like pleased the masses, because there was no masses to please, I guess, with where we were. So I think for me there was this band called Ansieta that were from the Sunshine Coast, and I was happened to just be on the recording session at the time, and I like was just like, whoa, these guys are sick, like yeah, playing like technical drums, but with like melodic guitars, but then still like quite chaotic and everything. But not necessarily like say a live show per se that was like influential, but I remember that being like really cool. I was like, oh damn, like I didn't really know any other bands were doing this, like I guess in the world, let alone like locally to a degree. So that was really cool to see that.
How did the name came into place?
Blind Girls?
Yeah.
That's a funny one.
It's an odd name.
It's like we literally were just trying to find names for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And we were all sort of like, we decided, all right, let's bring like a few names each to like every band practice. Our bass player came with Blind Girls. And it was the one that we all didn't hate. Like we were like, oh yeah, okay, that's like, it was kind of like, I guess like a placeholder. And then at first, and then we, you know, the band's like Some Girls, like we were like, all right, that's kind of cool. Like somewhat, I don't know, paying homage in a way or something, like, I don't know.
When you first started and like the couple of first releases you guys did, do you think there was kind of a blueprint for what you guys are gonna do in the later on with the bigger releases, or did that kind of fall into place as you guys were progressing and developing your sound?
I think it definitely fell into place, like, yeah, pretty naturally. Like the first release, well, that demo that we did, the 3-song demo, like we worked on that for years. By the time we finished that, we were kind of already into like, I guess a little bit more, rather than just like a more emo sound, like going into more of like, yeah, something a little bit more chaotic and heavier. Yeah, and I think from there, just like it naturally progressed. Like rather than just trying to sound like the bands that we liked, by the time we hit like that first album, we sort of already had a bit more of our own sound, I guess, rather than just trying to rip off bands, if that makes sense, you know?
Because I know a couple of you are playing in other bands as well, like does this affect your sound as Blind Girls or in any way?
There was a time where I remember playing, I was like writing for another band that I play in called Shackles, and then also writing for Blind Girls. And I just remember there's this one song for both bands that had a really similar drum part, and I just started fucking it up all the time, thinking it was the other one, like muscle memory, just getting like wires crossed. But aside from that, not really, because it's kind of good. You can like get an outlet for heavier stuff or get an outlet for Blind Girls, which sort of had a bit more of that melodic thing going on. So yeah, cool to serve a couple of different ideas, and yeah.
All right. You want me to make a break now so you can eat a little bit?
No, I'll start. These guys can start.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one is like your first break outside of Australia was with the Split album that you did with Sans Visage. So how did it come to that? Like what leads you to do this little thing and then go to Japan?
Well, Shani lived in Japan. Yeah, she wasn't in the band at the time, but she helped us out. Like originally we were just going to go over like for one Tokyo show, because the flights were cheaper than going to Perth, like in Australia. So we were like, oh, like it's a no-brainer. Let's go on a holiday. We'll play a show, whatever. And then Shani's housemate at the time was like a booker, so he's like, oh, I'll book you guys an entire tour. So we ended up just doing that. We met Sansa Saj, who did all the shows with us, and we just became good friends. Like, yeah, it felt pretty natural to be like, hey, if you guys want to do a split together, we should do it. And then they came to Australia when that split came out.
That's the visuals.
Yeah. It was cool.
They're nice.
We love them, and we're getting to play with them when we head to Japan next week too. So pretty psyched because they've been like kind of inactive for, I don't know, like at least 3 or 4 years. I want to say, maybe more. Yeah, so it'll be sick to see them again, like, and get to play with them again too. Yeah.
Would you guys consider like Residue being kind of a breaking point for the band in general and like a stepping stone in a way?
I would say so. It seemed like people took us a lot more seriously once we had an album out, which is funny because it's like, I didn't think it was that much of a difference to like have an album versus like an EP or something. But yeah, I think people definitely saw that we were a bit more serious or something. Yeah.
Was there any difference in the writing process or just like making of that release compared to the previous ones? Then maybe put it like more in front, or just the length itself that like made you guys seem more serious?
I guess we had more of a landscape of what we wanted to achieve within this, like the one release, like just having more time to fill up, I guess. But for the most part, I feel like it was pretty much the same.
As in like the differences between writing that compared to writing, I think with the EPs, stuff like that, and the split, it was like you're writing 3 to 6 songs. So it's pretty easy to just bring in, if you know you're doing 3 songs, it's just like, doesn't really have to be some sort of like really thought out package or anything like that. You just kind of work on the individual parts in the songs. And then you get to a point where you're happy with the song and that's kind of complete and you have 3 of those and that becomes like the split or the EP or whatever. Writing the record is like, it goes for longer, so you have to have some sort of variation in what's happening. Otherwise it becomes like one note. And especially sometimes I think you have to work in dynamics, like not just within songs, but also like between songs sort of thing. If everything's just on 10 the whole time, then it loses effect because the reference point of other songs on the albums doesn't hit as much. So
yeah, I'm gonna get them.
I remember writing Residue. It was honestly like pretty grueling in the sense that we like agonized over like everything on it. We would like workshop like a 4-bar bit for like weeks on end.
Sometimes, months.
And like rewrite and rewrite and rewrite.
It also had a lot to do with the members in the band at the time, like just butting heads a little bit with like what we wanted to get out of it. Yeah.
We as well too, mainly a little bit more previously, Ben used to bring a lot of drum rhythms to the band, and then we would write parts like over the rhythms. So it would sort of be like a combination of like fitting guitar ideas and chord progressions and stuff like that, maybe over like a rhythmic idea that Ben had, and like workshopping from there. So that could also take some time to like find the right part that matched up like rhythm wise, but it was also interesting as standing alone as like a melodic bit kind of thing. So it was, I remember it was like really, when we finished it and released it, I was just like, oh my God, like I can't believe we have actually done it and we're actually releasing this thing, because I thought it was going to kill everyone in the band. Like I just remember driving to practice and being like, oh my God.
Did your writing process change since that point? Like moving forward to the next releases?
Yeah, we had some like lineup changes and Luke joined. I think the next record, we maybe written like half of it or most of it when Luke kind of joined, but it was a little bit maybe more streamlined with like just a smaller unit working on the songs. And I feel like from the previous album, Ben and I had maybe more of an understanding about what we liked sound-wise and like how to write together. So it was a little bit easier to bring ideas to each other and stuff like that. And then when Luke joined, and mainly on the last record, he like demos stuff at home. So like, he can like program drum ideas and like stuff like that as well. So that was kind of, I've now started doing that because it's so much easier to like communicate an idea when you can like fill out multiple sections and stuff like that.
Whereas previously it'd be like one singular idea being brought to everyone to work on. So it's pretty wild to have Luke bring in like literally what feels like almost a finished song that we can sit at home, learn ourselves, and then come to practice and be like, all right, let's play it. And it's like all sort of there, ready, and can try and tweak little things from there.
I know you guys work with the same producers basically on your last 2 records. Did that in any way affected the way you're just like approach writing, or you already have an idea in advance now when you sit down to write new material? Like, okay, I know these guys like to work this, or they maybe gave you a suggestion how to approach the writing process.
Brock's pretty like fly on the wall mode, really. Like he wouldn't suggest anything, and it was mostly just because both times when the album was done, we were pretty like knew what it would kind of sound like, and he was just amazing at being like, we want it to be like this, and he would just be able to do that, use this, and both times, especially even with drums, like as soon as you recorded it and even pre-mixed, him just playing it back, I was like, well, Brock's really good.
We mentioned earlier, like your live performances are very hectic, can be very hectic, and like you riff that energy with the audience. Did that maybe change your perspective in writing? Like, do you now have in mind when you start writing a new song, like, oh, I think people are gonna love this, or like this is how it's gonna look like in a live setting?
Kind of.
With the last record, I think, like, what with Dissonance and Loveless, like those 2 songs are like, hell yeah, can't wait to play these live. Like, I feel like there'll be a good reaction live. I guess it didn't really change how he wrote the song, so it was just like, oh, this is kind of a win-win, cool song, but also will probably go off live a little better than...
I feel like there's like a balance between like, you write something and then you can just kind of already see that it's going to be like, in a live context, it's going to be like exciting, or people are going to like it or march to it or whatever. But at the same time,
thank you.
I hate listening to a record and you can just tell that like, oh, this is the audience participation bit. This band is written solely for like everyone to like, you know what I mean? Like get into. I'm like, it feels like it dilutes whatever you were trying to do. Like instead of like writing something that you cared about, it was like you were writing for an audience, and it kind of
less of a humble, honest approach.
Doing,
like just going for that rather than writing like what you think is.
We're gonna put a bunch of what-ohs, like, like let's put like an audience clap on this track, and like.
Sometimes you can be like completely wrong about that as well. Like, we think we had a song on the last album that I was like, it's never gonna make it. It's very weird. It like didn't make sense, but we like kept it just as like, oh, it could be a good weird one to have. And then when we toured Europe, it was like the song people kept coming up and being like, are you gonna play that live? And I was like,
we never had it.
Even practice it.
Yeah.
It was like no one.
We never played
we're not going to
together.
play that live. Like it was just kind of one on the album that was good to like be a little bit different. Give it some dynamics in some way, and then people were asking. It's probably the only one I think most of the time people would ask us to play.
From listening to your like catalog, like your sound got pretty darker from the weight of everything. Like, is there a reason why this change happened on this record exactly, or was just like it just how he wrote it? Like came natural.
I think it was mostly pretty natural. It's like when you go to write something new, you're acknowledging everything you've already done. Like we've kind of done the really fast, hectic, chaotic, whatever. And you just know that that'll still come naturally anyway. So it's like, you're just like, what haven't I done? What would be a cool new thing to add to this sound? And I guess the dark thing was kind of the vibe.
I think we also learned to like, no matter how different it might sound in like a demo stage, once it's sort of like filtered through all of us playing, it kind of I don't know, it's like sounds like us again. Like even if it is really different at first, like yeah.
Then like your last record, An Exit Exists, like it's very personal in a way. So I don't know. I guess you wrote the lyrics for that one. So this question might be more for you than the other guys. But it's like, how does it feel now, like playing it live and like going through the same thing over and over again? Like, is it more cathartic, or is it more like feeling like opening a wound of like over and over again?
It's good to let it out. I remember the first time we played Loveless. It was like, yeah, it was nice to get it out, I guess. And it helps me get into it every night.
So is it you
Can
see like
channel
it's
the anger.
like a healing process for
Yeah.
you in a way? Yep.
Somewhat, yeah.
So
That's
when
all
you
I'm saying.
that's it.
Put it away.
All right. So when you heard this last album, like the first time you heard the final mix, what was your initial feeling or the reaction when you heard the whole thing?
Pretty happy, I guess. To be honest, the last record was the one that we probably, I guess, lack of a better term, like rushed it because we had a US tour booked and our previous bandmate, who's no longer in the band, was like adamant on it like coming out for that tour. But I was still pretty stoked. Like I didn't want to sacrifice anything to just get it out. Like I was pretty adamant on making sure it's going to be good and hopefully like stands the test of time, like to a degree, you know. But I remember, yeah, being pretty happy. Like we chose Rolly to mix it again because we were just happy with what he did last time, and yeah, it was a pretty seamless process, really. I feel like it wasn't too many tweaks. I think it was like maybe the third mix we ended up going with. So yeah, I was pretty stoked. Yeah.
Was there any part of the record that really stuck with you from that first, either a melody or just the atmosphere of the record, the way it was mixed? Anything that stood out?
I think the clean part in, I got to think of the normal song name, in Less Than 3 was cool just because I think it was the first time like an acoustic guitar was used, and I feel like the chords Julian brought for the part, it felt like finally recording it all really nicely in a studio. I was like, whoa, this part's like so much more interesting than I initially thought when I kind of wrote it. And yeah, it was just one of those moments where it's like I come up with something and then everyone else makes it like so much better that I was like, oh yeah.
It was also the first time that we recorded the entire thing minus vocals with like engineer there the entire time. Like previously, like on the way to everything, it was like we did drums with someone, but then afterwards he just helped set up the tones, and then he went on tour, and then I just recorded the rest of it. So that was kind of cool, I guess, having someone else to sort of bounce different ideas off, and yeah, like with the acoustic thing, and like he kind of just knew, he's like, oh well, let's try this. Like,
what about your labels? So like I guess since you were working with No Funeral and like Life Layer, that kind of pushed you a little bit out into the world. How did this connection came into place, and like did it really help your career in general and like your outreach?
I would say definitely like with No Funeral, like working with Nate, that was like the first time that we'd been to America or like Canada. So, and then being at that fest and being able to do those shows, we met like so many people. And that, helped us being able to go back and tour the States a couple of times just through the connections made from that festival. And I don't know, it's hard to think like in the label sense though. It was just kind of like, hey, like I think innocently just like, hey, we'll put out this record. Like it wasn't really like a calculated thing to do. Nate just seemed to be a lovely dude who was willing to do it, and just kind of worked in the benefit of us in the end to be able to meet more bands and
life layer much the same. I feel just having even though they're Australian, just having someone who's like
having a little home
really
base,
supportive of you, and can help like sell physical things in like places we wouldn't know how to do otherwise. Very, very useful.
And then we got Paul too from
Paul from Persistent Vision,
who's actually helped us a shitload. Like just like I don't know, like especially with the last album, he had like a whole PR sort of thing ready, like we interviews, and he's just been sick and super supportive, really easy to work with, like happy to do whatever we were sort of wanting to do, and would send us records for the Europe tour, like have everything ready to go. Like he's just really onto it, and lovely dude. Plus it's a sick label, like we're on there with like some of our favorite bands.
So what are your plans after this Asian run? Like you're still touring this latest release, so what are your plans, let's say in like 2-3 years?
Well, we're writing another record at the moment. I think that's probably the main goal once we get back, to just try and get stuck into that a little bit. It's probably a bit more intermittent with how we'll get on a roll for maybe like 2-3 weeks, and then someone goes away or someone's got life things to get done. So hopefully when we get back, we can kind of get on a bit of a roll with that.
Have some momentum.
Yeah.
And an Australia tour in January.
Yeah, we've got an Australia tour in January.
What are your predictions for your genre, like your scene in the coming years? Like you already mentioned something that is getting more popular in the States now. Like any predictions for the future?
I mean, even in Australia, it's getting more popular too. There's definitely like younger people like starting bands, like what are they? Lace Angel.
Yeah, Lace Angel.
Like they're like a new Brisbane band that just started playing. Plus, there's like a few in Sydney as well. So, I mean, hopefully they just keep doing it. There's also a pretty cool scene over in Perth with this band called Puke, and like a few of those dudes in that band are just like hell keen on getting more bands within sort of screamo happening, and hopefully it just keeps going.
Spreading it around, yeah. Even in like overseas, like a very young band called February, like they've played Coachella, they're about to play Outbreak Festival, and they're like a young screamo band. So I reckon there'll definitely be like an influx. But at this point, I'm happy for it to even just stay where it is. Like, I'm not asking for it to like get bigger and bigger, because it's already insane that people are still doing it. Like, it just seems to be the genre that never dies, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You dropped a couple of names. Are there any bands that you would like to recommend to our audience? Like either local or global? And it doesn't also have to be just your genre. It can be whatever you guys think people should listen to.
Gil Cerrone, for sure. Yeah.
Cerebral Erosion.
I like a band called Truck Violence. They're just sick. I don't know any of them at all. No relation. I just think they're sick.
Super Death.
Just a side project.
Redacted. Scratch that.
There's probably a lot of bands that have just mine. It's always that.
Lagermoss, but they don't need the shout out because they're crushing it.
Yeah.
Portishead. Everyone should listen to Portishead, I think.
When it comes to Blind Girls, like someone who never heard of you guys, one song that you would say, listen to this is us.
Who are we talking to?
Yeah. Is it like
random people? Like we're at the restaurant, and like let's say this dude.
They want to put a song on the
maybe
on the
like,
speakers.
they're like, what are these people doing here talking shit? Like
what's Northman called?
Less than 3. I was gonna say Ghost.
Oh yeah.
Ghost in My
Ghost in My
Eyes,
Eyes, probably the
good mix of a crazy and nice.
Yeah.
All right. Last question, and this is something I ask all of the people that I interview, both local and foreigners. That's like, what is your advice for someone who's just starting, like a kid that just picks up the instrument or wants to start a band? Like, what is your advice as someone who already toured, released, did this for a while?
Do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
If you want to do it, just do it.
Nike.
Like, it's not, I don't know, I feel like
Just keep playing shows.
Yeah, just keep playing shows. Yeah. Yeah,
It is really just keep going.
We played shows that sucked for like probably like 6 years, but we didn't care because we were just stoked and wanted to do it. And then now it's like, holy shit, we're getting to go overseas on tours. Like I didn't ever think that would have happened when we were playing like Fat Louie's in Brisbane. Like it was kind of the last thing that I thought we'd be able to do. So
yeah, lots of endurance.
yeah, if you want to do it, just keep going and hopefully some cool shit comes out of it. You're only going to get better too the more you keep playing and
Yeah. I would say, oh, Sean, you gonna say something there?
I was going to say, like, make things because you like it.
Give him 2 mics.
Yeah, I was going to say, just make music because you like making music. Make the music that you like. Like, don't make it for other people. Like, you don't have to appease, like, something that's cool. Like, if you love it, you'll just keep going. That's the best part of it.
yeah, I feel like it always translates way better that way too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. You stole my point. So. Cool.
I'm not gonna try and pronounce the name of the show because I'm not gonna butcher it. Guys from the Alderon always have silly names for their show. Check out their channels. They're really crazy. Blind Girls are about to hit the stage. By the time you see this, the show already done. You can read the report and see the gallery in the description of the video. Until then, enjoy the video. See you guys.
Ready? Ready. Yeah. How was it? How was it?
That was crazy. That was one of the best ever. All fame.